That got weird.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. We got a good one for you today. Like always, we're going to be talking about AI integration, from the small little things that we see on our phones and ChatGPT, all the way up to, Neuralink and them wanting to merge with AI in various ways. But it's a little special today because we have a guest with us, a fellow brother that partakes in Sabbath, a house Sabbath that we just started doing. But let's get over to showing everyone, welcome everyone, and then we will have a little time to talk to Francisco, maybe ask him some questions, and then get into the show itself. So without further ado, I'll pull us up. And so let's start you off, Robert. Good to see you, brother. Shalom. You excited to talk about this episode tonight?
It's an interesting subject here. I can see some of the stuff already integrating into my work, training videos and whatnot. So, yeah.
They're absolutely starting to integrate it, and they're doing it in such a way right now that it's like this convenience. It helps you out. It's not like really that, seemingly it's not really intrusive into your life, into your personal things. And so it's like, yeah, why not use this thing that makes my job easier, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got 3 new hires this coming week. That's a lot of talking. I don't know how Sean does it when he does those 3-hour-long things when he's reading slides, because after a while, you're like, your throat is getting dry, your mouth is dry. So anytime you're able to click something that's doing it for you, much easier.
Well, sweet brother, hope you are excited to talk about this topic. It's definitely creeping into our lives. And welcome as always. We're going to jump down to Frankie B. Welcome, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Integration. Get used to it because it's integrating into your life.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it's, before it was like ChatGPT, you'd have to go to the website, and do it there. Now it's like baked into your phone. It's baked into the chips. It's baked into the software of almost everything, right? And it's pretty crazy. It's not going away. That's for sure.
Oh no, it's only going to get better or worse, whatever you want to look at it as.
Yeah, totally. Sweet. Well, here with me today we got Kyle. So welcome, Kyle. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to be here again and good to talk about another subject that has extensive consequences on all our lives, whether we know it or not. And I just wanted to say I always thought it was interesting that the technology existed for AI to like already be put on our devices, I guess, because it was like, I've got a pretty old phone, and it was just all of a sudden one day I didn't update, and AI is here to help me make decisions in my life, and I don't,
Which literally means there has to be chips inside the hardware itself to handle those type of inquiries. Right. So it's like, it's kind of like the jab and how they had way more available during that time than was plausible for them to make for that many people. So it's like you had to already be producing these like you knew something was going to happen, but don't, you know what I mean? Right. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, last but definitely not least, we got our brother Francisco here. He is a brother that crazy sinks in life and the way that all works out, the way that God the Father moves. We met him through looking for a local congregation, and eventually what we kind of came down to is like, hey, let's just have a house church. We'll share our spaces and come together and do some worship and have some men time and have some, reading the Torah and reading, the gospel and talking amongst each other about those things and questions. Like the one thing that came up today was how when it's talking about a specific part of the tabernacles that they use skin, but like we all had different Bibles. So like mine said skin of a beaver. His wife's had skin of an antelope. Other people had fine leather, and it was just so interesting. And then Kyle looked up the word, and it's like it could literally be anything. It could be an extinct animal. It could be this mythical animal. It
said a clean animal, and then it went and off to name like unclean animals.
Yeah,
it was just really.
It was really interesting, right? But like coming together, we may have not seen that if we all had the same Bible, right, and we all had the exact, so very beautiful, very blessed. So, but yeah, welcome, brother.
Thank you.
So usually when we have someone new come onto the channel, we like to take a little time in the beginning to kind of give a brief testimony of like kind of where you are now compared to where you were then. And then secondly, kind of step from that is what was like for you the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to looking at the world from like biblical cosmology as opposed to modern heliocentric like scientism. Okay. So if you'd start out with what you'd like to share about your testimony.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because it all started from conspiracies. And we started looking into conspiracies, and so I was raised Catholic, then became Mormon or LDS.
Yeah.
And then I was LDS for like 20 years, and then after that, we started looking into conspiracies. First, starting with the Mormon religion.
Okay. Yeah. All the things around that.
Yeah, and it kind of drove us out of that.
Okay.
And then into more like the biblical truth and that sort of thing, and then from there. Biblical cosmology was the next, like the last front of the conspiracies. Like, there's no way
that they lied about this big thing.
Right,
JFK, this, but definitely not the world.
Right.
We know it's a globe.
Right,
obviously,
we basically looked at it just to prove it wrong.
Yeah.
Especially my wife. She was big into conspiracies.
Yeah.
She looked at it. Let's look at, this is our last conspiracy we got.
Like, what else could we go past this?
Yeah, what silly thing are they saying, right?
Yeah.
And then it turned out that now we're believers in the what the Bible says.
So going through that process, what was like, because there was if you watch the 200 Proofs by Eric DeBay, or if you watch some of the videos by Mark Sargent, depending on when you came into it, right, there's a lot of points that are made that like now retrospectively looking back, like, well, that's not really a valid proof, or because it's like it works on either model or
kinematic equivalent.
Yeah,
between the two.
There's some things there that like proofs that aren't really proofs, right? For one or the other. But what was like to you, like that was like, oh my gosh, it could be biblically. It could be like, I realized that the Bible said it was true. I don't even care about the like the scientific proof, the observations that we've made that this proved the globe, right? If it's just like the Bible, or was it something specifically that you like, oh my gosh, like, for instance, California, like seeing the horizon, seeing the boat go over the horizon, and then learning, oh wait, you can just zoom in and see. Like, what was that thing for you that kind of pushed you over the edge and to be like, oh, this is true?
Well, it was really the test that we would run, right? We were already living here in Utah.
Okay.
I was raised in California. But we were here when we got into it. And then finally what we realized was like, biblically what it says, and then all the tests that we could physically run and what our eyes see.
Yeah.
And those are the things that really made us just like
personal experiences. Like, I don't feel like I'm moving at 1,000 miles an hour.
Right. And then the shadow of the moon type of thing, and how that's cooler and all that stuff. Like it was definitely a lot of experiments that we were doing.
So it's like the preponderance of evidence suggesting that the globe wasn't correct. And that's exactly what it was for me. I asked this person, because like sometimes it is that one thing that people set into, but I find more often than not that it is exactly that. It's this preponderance of evidence. You have so many things that disprove their claim, and I think one thing that's like, and it's kind of been shaken up in the community recently, is the 24-hour sun thing, and like, oh, that's disproving, the model or whatever. But what's interesting about that is like that doesn't unlevel that doesn't curve all the things, the dimensions and things, just because the something in the celestial is acting differently.
What's weird about the whole thing is like any real truth seeker in this field is going to go, okay, we have learned that we cannot dictate the shape or movement of the floor based on looking up to the stars. Like literally, it doesn't work because the statement that the Earth moves and the sun is at rest and the sun moves and the Earth is at rest are literally can be explained in the same breath, I guess. Under the same, just two observations, but with real experimentation. We know we don't actually have any movement of the Earth. That there has been real experiments. Aries
never
failures,
been proved.
Morley,
never been proved.
It proved that there is no,
even in Einstein's theory, right? In his explanation of special relativity, he literally says you couldn't tell because it's relative, right?
Yes.
You would have to be so far removed to be able to conceive it, right? And it's like no one has done that. No one has proved that, right?
And the inconsistencies too of the shape of the Earth. This time it's round. This time it's oval. Now it's a pear shape. Like it's just
the sun is 14 million. Now it's 93, 60 million. Now it's 93 million.
And you can tell they're working their equations backwards. They're doing
reverse engineering.
Yes, every single one of them. And the 24-hour sun in Antarctica may be absolutely no different than that. Maybe an actual real phenomenon out there, and they're, that can be explained on the firmament model, whether Will Duffy or Robbie Davidson or any of these other guys wants to claim it doesn't work on that. The Father, he made his word pretty clear, and one observation does not do away with many experiments that would, show the opposite.
Well, and again, right, you're assuming that the celestial works the same way like how things work on Earth. Right. And that's not true.
That those are terrestrial.
Y'all are claiming that the things that we're seeing, like the sun, is 93 million miles away. That's why it does what it does on Earth. Okay, prove to me that it's 93 million miles away. Right. You're making the claim, right? Where our position is, per scripture, right, not doesn't only explain that, but two, that we don't believe in like this outer space, this huge infinite expanse of nothingness, right? This is an enclosed like structure. It is a thing that the Father created. It took him a whole day, right, to do so. And so taking away from how to even say it's just like it's just lights in the sky, right?
In a vacuum.
Yeah, in a vacuum. Or like that it's like what we're seeing isn't more than water and clear gold and sapphire and all these other things like we can't conceive because we're not on the outside of that mechanism, for lack of a better word. So well, anyways, welcome Francisco. He's just gonna be with us until the top of the hour, so for a good 30 minutes. And he'll, he was quick to say, like, I don't know much about this, and that's totally okay. Feel free to ask questions, to chime in of things that other people's comments bring up. This is just dudes and people talking about the world around us from a perspective of those of us who are seekers of the puzzle pieces of truth. We're looking for truth out in the world and how that affects us and how that will affect our children.
As we should.
So we can be watchers, right?
Don't worry, Francisco. We don't know much either.
What was that, Frankie B?
I said, don't worry too much, Francesco. We don't know either.
Francisco.
Francisco, that's it.
So, awesome. Well, let's kind of get into it. Robert, you talked a little bit about it before, about the integration you've seen into your where you work. Kind of lay that out for us, what that kind of looks like, how that affects your job, As obviously as much as you can share. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, but I'd love to hear what you can share about how AI is affecting your work.
So one of the things I do is I train everybody on different things to do with our work. Some of it's like more specific to our work, and some of it is general over the corporation. So for me, mostly it's been PowerPoint slides that I've had to read and do the test with the guys. Maybe there are a few hokey videos from the 70s. And now they have an AI team that's been putting together different things for that. So one of the videos that I shared, actually the same character that is in one of those is in these training videos that we utilize. And it, of course, if you speak French, Spanish, whatever, it'll mimic that language. And so for that, all I got to do is just, I can click on the play button and basically go grab myself a cup of coffee or something, come back in 20, 30 minutes. And, when the video is done, so it takes, saves my voice a little bit. They're using some of it within our different processors, when we do our entering different items, entering
Like
part,
data entry.
Yeah, so it has a little bit of, intuitive knowing what you intended to be doing. So, again, it helps, saves time.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, just like with when you're doing autocorrect on your phone, sometimes it wants to land on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
All the time now.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Yeah,
had a problem like
and
that.
I think that's why, like, a part of what I was gonna say was like we shouldn't have the fear like associated. Like, yeah, some of these things seem fearful and seem like, oh my gosh, like it's the end of the world, but it's like greater who's in us than who is in the world, right? Like, it's like, what weapon can they form against us that would ever really prosper? Why would we fear those who can just kill us and not him who can kill us and our soul, right? And so it's like there's really not a choice, right? It's like, would you like cake or death? It's like, no, we'll take cake. You know what I mean? And so whatever happens, right? You strike me down, and I shall become more stronger than you could ever imagine. And so, so in the same way, it's like we say these things not to scare you, not to freak people out. Even though some of it's kind of freaky, it's kind of crazy that this is the times that we're living in. So, let's jump down to you, Frankie B. What are your thoughts about AI integration and how it's affecting your job?
So I drive a forklift at work, and they put a program on my forklift that it monitors your accidents, your bumps, and it's on the internet, and it tracks your every movement. So, like, if I bump into something, it'll come up and it'll prompt me to say how was the damage, what it was. I have to go through a checklist to clear it, but it's actually offline right now. But it's something that they're trying to put into our system so that they can track all of our accidents. They can track our movements. They can know when we're sitting still. Yeah.
Like when you're not active, they can track, well, hey, you have been
Hey, why were you
for
sitting
32
unactive
hours
for
this week?
45 minutes and not working? Yeah.
I like that. I like that. All I got is spray paint that I put on spray paint the back of these forklifts so that I could look for new marks.
Yeah, well, we have our forklifts are all rentals or they're leased. So any scratches or dents, any damage we do to these forklifts, it goes back on the company that we lease it to, and they charge us for fixing any damage to the forklifts. So they want to be able to track however we damage these forklifts. And I'll tell you what, man, we put these forklifts through the ringer, completely through the ringer.
Soft word.
We have on the front plates. They have broken some of the things off of them where they can't even understand how they got broken because they're welded on. You know what I mean? Sorry for cussing. But yeah, it's a real. We put these forklifts through the ringer. Not me personally, but a lot of my associates. They really put it down. They really put these forklifts to the. So the company wants to track it and know who's doing the damage because most of it goes unreported. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for me, I'll go real quick. Is in my vans they have a camera that watches you, and it knows, it's been trained that if you're going like this, right? Like if you're oh look, he has no hands on the wheel. If you're making, certain motions, right, or like your head's down or your eyes are, like it'll start beeping at you and telling you, and then it'll take a picture showing, like this AI on top of it. So there's not they don't have enough people, right, to sit there and watch a camera for each and every van. So they put it through AI that then make alerts, that then those alerts are sent to people that then review and then send it out, right? And so there's so many like low level data entry, data analysis that can be done by AI more efficiently because they're not missing things, they're not making mistakes, they're not, doing the math incorrectly. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, right? And the benefit is that, hey, if you're a good driver, that you get praised for that. If you're a bad driver, you lose your chance to drive a company vehicle because you're too expensive for insurance, and now you're worth less because you can't drive. And so it's like, there's all these kind of weird
It's the same
things.
thing with our system. Whenever we get a bump or a hit, it sends an email out to everyone that's involved in that program, and that's how it notifies. And so it's the AI doing the notifications. It's not an actual human tracking it.
Yep.
It's the AI system tracking it. And then whenever there's a situation or a problem, it sends out an email. And it shows you that it sent out an email. So it'll go to my boss, it'll go to all the managers, and then it'll go to the head of safety and all those people that are involved in the program.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Our fleet has our fleet of trucks has got Lytics, Green Mile. I get the emails. I see the close calls, the fast turns, the
Hard brakes.
When you're driving the truck, it tells you that you're drifting. It tells you if you didn't signal to change a lane.
Yep.
If you didn't come to a complete stop. I mean, you're allowed to go. I think up. I think
5.
It's like 3 seconds a mile or something like that. So you don't have to totally stop, but you still have to stop at that stop sign.
Yeah.
And but I've seen a couple of like close calls where I gave kudos to the driver because someone else almost caused a bad thing and they were able to react and they didn't get into a hit. Not at our facility, but we've had another one of our other locations where someone tried to sue us and we had everything on camera, and it's like, no, dude, it's plainly you that did this. So
see, and
but
isn't that
yeah,
such
yeah,
an
I just thought you
interesting
were right
dynamic
there.
for us, like where we're so like cognitive of like cameras and the social and like, but then at the same time, right, it's like, well, they also bring transparency because we have cameras. Like we've seen cops be corrupt. We've seen politicians say things when they didn't think they were being recorded, right? Like we have all of these instances of when cameras work, like someone breaks into our house and we find out who it is because we saw their license plate. You know what I mean? Like there's so many reasons why it's such a double-edged sword, right? With all technology, it's like literally in one way it frees us and the other way it imprisons us. You know, it's so interesting how that works. Well,
Yeah,
sweet.
our truck drivers have the same program. So they have cameras inside the cabs.
Yeah,
They can
exactly.
tell when they're working, when they're sleeping, when they're eating, when they're not, doing what they're supposed to be doing, when they're on the phone
Yep.
driving. That's a big thing, man. That's a really big thing. That and the company really hates that.
Oh yeah,
That
dude.
when
They
you're
send
on your phone and
notifications
you're
with your
driving.
picture, like, "Hey,
Fired.
Yeah, but
you're not doing that."
You're probably on your phone with your boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, sweet. Let's jump over to Kyle. Kind of your thoughts about AI integration and how it affects your work, if it does.
It I don't know that it's AI, but they definitely have governors and stuff in the trucks where they, well, even in my current car, watches the lanes and everything, but it doesn't send anything to anybody. And, the insurance company, of course, wants to send me something that I can plug in my car where they can go and watch all those things and then, respectfully go shove it, where. So, I think all those tools are, they can be great, sure, but when it's unnecessary and people don't want their private activities being watched, it's just that's where people tend to draw the line, and I definitely do. Where it's like that's where it becomes uncomfortable, where you're being recorded on everything, and it's not on your while you're not, it's not on your own volition to go do something, but they're like, well, there's cameras everywhere, always recording you. It's like that's true, but.
Well, you have one in your pocket, right? Like, and not only that, we were talking about how like you did a restart, and all of a sudden your phone now had AI capability. It had to have that hardware in there to make those type of calculations. So, right, like it is intrusive. You don't know if it's actually not reading every single one of your messages.
Have to be because they suggest me. That's like my phone.
Yeah.
That's like I wouldn't be suspect unless you gave me reason to be suspect that I'm being listened to when I have certain conversations and I go and look through my feed or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm being suggested and advertised to about
the things you were talking about or texting
private
about.
Single conversation I have with somebody, and all of a sudden now it's popping up. It's like, okay, I obviously know this already, but you're just like throwing it right in my face.
Yeah.
Well, I had a phone that wasn't smart enough, so it stopped working, and they forced me to get a newer phone.
Yeah.
Like all the things that I needed from this phone, they didn't allow it anymore.
Yeah.
So they forced me to get one where they can listen to me and do the things that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So they're forcing you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and like even the newer computers, like in order to have a Windows 11 computer, right, and Windows 10, they're getting rid of October 2025. Any computer that's Windows 10 will no longer be supported, meaning they won't be putting out security patches or anything like that. So you have to go. So like that computer right there, a really nice computer, it doesn't have the hardware to run Windows 11. So that computer is in essence, like I'm gonna have to put it on Linux or something else, is for Windows is completely bricked because it doesn't have hardware, and they want to listen. They want to even on my thing, like you can go and ask AI thing. Like I turned it all off, right? But that doesn't mean it's really turned off, right?
Right.
And so, and I think so even more so as believers, right? Like we need to keep that in mind with our behavior, not like, and I'm just saying, like, hey, you're in a chat room. Let's say it's not even a believer chat room, and you're telling people they're going to hell, or you right, like, there are things that are there that they can totally jump back to and say, hey, remember when you said in 2025 on that forum with a total of 10 people on it that you hated the world? Right, you get what I'm saying?
Imagine
like, whatever
all
it
your
is.
Secret sins.
Yeah, and it's all revealed. Like, this is what you're. You know what I mean? Okay, for one side, and then now with AI, think about how much they could produce, right? Like, that isn't even real, right?
No,
like, like they could take all the videos and or pictures of your face on that are on Facebook, right? Map that onto a model, then put that in a scenario that's a model of your house. You get what I mean? Right. And they could create any type of scenario.
Yeah.
Well, haven't they done that already with the whole
in some
ransom?
Yeah.
And it's the person's voice, it's your face, it's all these things, and it wasn't even them.
It's a whole like admitted scam that they're like, they'll call you with like your kid on the line with you know, be like, this is, we have your child, and they'll be like, and it'll sound like your kid and everything.
Yeah, it'll be a video of helping, you know, asking for help, you save me, and then it's not really them, and you just sent $10,000, however you want to.
So like it's definitely there, right? And you're right. They're now baking it into everything, right? Like, of course, they want the Internet of Everything, where everything is interconnected and whatever. It's like, that reminds me of Independence Day when that's called Skynet, right? Like, when you connect everything, defense, social life, all of that together. Sweet. Okay, well, let's share some videos, because we definitely got a ton, and I'd love Francisco to watch a little bit for us. He's got probably around 10 minutes before he's gonna head out, but let's share with him. So let's pull this up. Live. This bigger. This isn't the first one I want to play though. Okay, let's start out with this guy. Quick little video here, and then a longer one.
We've been working hard to extremely careful, and we've been working hard to be ready for our first human, and obviously we want to be extremely careful and certain that it will work well before putting a device in a human. But we're submitted, I think, most of our paperwork to the FDA, and we think probably in about 6 months we should be able to have our first Neuralink in a human. So now this is this video is now 18 months old. So this is Pager, who is playing monkey mind pong. So this is Pager has a Neuralink implant in this video, and the thing that's interesting is that you can't even see the neural implant. So we've miniaturized the neural implant to the point where it matches the thickness of the skull that is removed. So it's essentially it's sort of like having an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. Replacing a piece of skull with like a smartwatch, for lack of a better.
Totally cool, like totally normal.
So you can see, you really can't. He looks pretty. He's normal, and I think that's pretty important. If you have a Neuralink device, like I could have a Neuralink device implanted right now, and you wouldn't. you wouldn't even know. I mean. Hypothetically, maybe one of these demos, in fact...
What a literal weirdo.
One of these demos I will. Yeah.
What was that? Yeah. Let's test it on you first, though.
Come here, paraplegic.
Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talk. So here we have again this character, this entity called Elon Musk. Now, if you are a regular listener, you will know that I believe Elon Musk to be a frontman, a mascot, a puppet for the establishment. Whatever he fronts is probably the establishment putting their plans into place using technology such as the automation of jobs by the use of robots or a 5G satellite network to spy on everyone, or the establishment taking over a social media site. You know, if it was put it this way, if it was a combination of the United Nations and the World Economic Forum and the EU that took over one of the biggest social media sites, people would leave it in their droves. But instead, what we see is what I feel is a manufactured character for the media who is framed as some sort of Tony Stark Marvel character, and then try and frame them as some kind of hero of free speech to disguise these organisations are being run by the establishment. Using a mascot such as Musk makes people not to be so alarmed. Plus, they can always blame things on this individual if things go wrong and move on with their plans using somebody or something else. So when I say Elon in this video, think the establishment when I say his name, because that's what it is in my opinion. As if someone would be allowed to become this rich and powerful and be independent of the authorities. Musk was even one of those world economic young global leaders, amongst many other things. Just check out my old videos about him. Go to hugotalks.com and type in Elon Musk in the search bar at the top of the site to find all of the videos.
Without any type of like society just being like, hey, weren't you on the other side of things?
Weren't you like a devil worshiper? You know what I mean? Like all the Republicans, like just Christians just ignore that because he's attached to Trump, who's like, my most favorite book. You know, it's number one.
So
what's your favorite verse? Like, I'm not going to talk about that.
No one knows more about the Bible than me. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite verse?
It's no one more thinks it's more special than me right here, right now. So, yeah, it's, and what a weird dude.
I've done on him. One recent one was about why he and the establishment are
I could hear the video on YouTube, but I could not hear the video on Discord.
Oh, maybe.
1 second, brother.
Oh.
Same problem. I couldn't hear anything.
You couldn't hear it on YouTube?
I could hear it on YouTube, but I couldn't hear it
on Discord?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, 1 second.
Everything's good now, though.
Well, 1 second.
So whatever you did to fix it, just keep it the way it is.
acquiring Twitter because they want to change it into the X app.
Can you hear it
which
now?
is a version
Yes.
of the Chinese WeChat social credit score all-in-one monitoring spy app that they use in China. Whether they change it into that or destroy Twitter and then herd people into a new one, I don't know. One or the other. I mean, he even admits to it in this clip.
I mean, we don't even have an app that's as good as WeChat in China. Like in China, you can like live on WeChat basically. It's like, everyone's like that. Like you live on WeChat, you do payments, you do everything. It's like, it's great. Basically, WeChat's kick ass.
What was that, Frankie B?
I can't hear nothing now.
Why are you so low all of a sudden? So you can't hear it?
Nope.
I can't hear anything. Neither can I.
And we don't.
What?
I just heard something.
Have anything like WeChat outside of China. So I was like, my idea would be like, how about if we just
Can you hear it?
Hit play.
copy WeChat? Hey, really?
Yes?
No.
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 Why?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's through Discord.
My volume's right.
Okay, sorry everyone. Give me a second.
Chat says they can hear it. So.
Okay, so just that's so weird that you can't hear it on Discord. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go.
I heard that.
Copy that.
Buy Twitter, copies WeChat.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there you go, buy a company and then create a counterfeit copy of someone else's idea. This is the Elon Musk strategy. All of the companies he has been involved with existed or were already created and were successful in their own right before he came along to invest and buy them. The establishment doesn't like independent businesses and they like to take them over when they get too big. Anyway, this video is about this headline here from yesterday. One of the Beast System's plans for the future. Elon Musk confident Neuralink brain chips will cure blindness and restore mobility as he aims for human trials in 6 months. He says it's like replacing a piece of skull with a smartwatch. Now you notice in this how we see yet another piece of invasive technology. I mean, it can't get any more invasive than taking over your brain. This invasive technology being sold to the public as being beneficial to your health. How it could help you. Just like the jib jabs were sold to you. Just like the vax passports were sold to you. Like the digital.
Alrighty, we're going to take a quick break from this. Our brother Francisco here and his lovely family are waiting for him. It's that time of the night. They're gonna head. They're actually like an hour away, so it's awesome that they're able to come over here and spend this time with us. But Francisco, kind of toes in the water. I hope it wasn't too crazy. It's just us three talking here. Yeah. And I would love to have you on more. And like I said before, like we're trying to kind of get some different cameras and equipment so that we can have a better angle than this is, more like kind of real view. But that's upcoming in the process. But anyways, Francisco, thanks for coming, brother.
No problem. Thank you.
If you'd like to say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. You guys take care. Shalom. And y'all bless. You guys take care.
Sweet, bro.
Thank you, brother. You guys take care.
Yep.
Thank you. No problem.
Good night, bro.
See you.
Yeah.
You guys have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
See you next week.
I'm gonna throw his chair out. Yeah.
Oh, we got a round of applause.
I'll get scooch in a little bit. Sweet. I hope you all enjoyed Francisco. He's awesome. His family's awesome. His wife, his son, his daughters, they're great, and love having them in my house anytime they're here. So, sweet. All right, let's jump back over, and we're gonna watch some more videos. Oh, I'm so dumb. I do that all the
IDs
time.
are sold to you. Oh look, illegal immigrants everywhere. It's all about, we need everyone now to have digital IDs. We don't know who is who anymore. It's dangerous. We need digital IDs. It's for your safety. And now we've got Elon here saying he wants to cure the blind and heal the sick. Sounding a bit like Jesus there. Copying that idea as well. Elon, for some reason, is very, very popular though. People are blinded to what this establishment puppet is. And there are tons of influencers who support him as well. Talk him up all of the time and attempt to keep this fantasy in continuance. It's sad. So many continue to look for a false idol to follow. They will always provide a false idol for you to follow. This is why the gate is wide to destruction and is narrow to the truth. This is the guy who shows off in a Baphomet costume with upside down crosses, a costume called Devil's Champion, whose ex-girlfriend also dons upside down crosses, who likes to set up photo shoots of her reading the Communist Manifesto. I mean, they are telling the public what side they are on. I mean, he who hath eyes, let them see, yeah? So anyway, they are talking about how they're going to start doing human trials here about with these brain microchips. It says here, it was stated at a convention, even if someone has never had vision, ever, like they were born blind, we believe we can still restore their vision, Elon Musk said. Neuralink's last public presentation.
I feel like all of this has, it's not a direct link to AI, right? In the sense that, this isn't, which again, I think it is because I think it's baked into the technology. But what I mean is like, this is just one way that they can or could implicate like a hive mind, right? Like this type of utopia where there is no jealousy, blah, blah, blah. This could, in part be the mark of the beast. Like there's so many ways that it could be implemented. But the reason why I bring that up is because Elon specifically said, like, our biggest danger is AI, so we need to join with AI before AI takes over the world, right? So it's like we either join or we're destroyed, right? Like we either become super Homo sapiens or we become like the Neanderthal,
extinct.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's so insane. But
the human being is in danger. Everything that defines it as a species is at risk of being lost shortly and forever.
This is an AI voice.
In this interview, Elon Musk explains the interface in the cerebral neurocortex, connected to artificial intelligence. The official cover is Neuralink, and apparently he wants us to see it as voluntary. Yet he acknowledges there are two limitations to overcome in the introduction of such an interface. Input and output limitations.
The fundamental limitation is input-output. So
he also recognizes the input limitation is solved by injection, because it can go through the veins and arteries with direct access to neurons.
I mean, there are a few ways to approach this, but some sort of interface directly with your cortical neurons particularly.
But doesn't that imply surgical insertion?
Not necessarily. You could go through the veins and arteries because that provides a complete roadway to all of your neurons.
Regarding the output limitation, the problem that arises is that the interface is expelled by the human body at regular imitation-dependent research. La Quinta Columna and other independent research groups in other parts of the world discovered what that interface is and why they disclaim it. It's absolutely
Shalom, shalom. Baruch haba b'shem Yeshua. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Jesus. He is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the ending, who was and is to come. That's according to Isaiah 9:6, Micah 5:2, Revelations 1, verses 7 and 8. And to it God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself. 2 Corinthians 5:19. Amen. I wanted to share this article with you guys. It's from the U.S. Department of Defense. Now, I recently made a video about Skynet being live. I'll leave a link in the comment section below. And, it really does appear as though this Skynet is live. And I'm not talking about literally, the fictional Skynet of the Terminator series, but rather the worldwide artificial intelligence takeover. Okay, we already know that Elon Musk has voiced his concerns about the Google DeepMind AI having access to all the data servers. And we also know that Alexa Sidewalk was just released, I think this month, June 2021. in which all of the Alexa smart devices can pretty much create a nationwide surveillance system in which everything is all connected together. Okay, so this is the beast system rising. Okay, the foundation is laid. And soon I believe the United Nations will take over with the appearance of the Antichrist, in my opinion, and the 10 kings of Revelations chapter 13. Now, with all that said, let's look at this article, again, defense.gov. It says the Department of Defense looking for advanced command control solution, posted June 4th, 2021. And it talks about, more or less, the use of artificial intelligence within the military. Okay, so not only do we have it, artificial intelligence in the private sectors, and artificial intelligence Alexa is spying on everyone, and artificial DeepMind of Google is now searching through everyone's records and Google searches, okay? But now we also see that AI is taking over the military as well. Okay, it says the joint, that might be an exaggeration, but I think ultimately that's where it's going. The joint all-domain command and control strategy goal is to link networks and sensors to warfighters with shared data in all domains, cyber, land, sea, air, and space, across all the military services, and combatant commands in a secure manner and at great speed. Okay, so that's the strategy goal, is to link all these networks together. And it says, Marine Corps Lieutenant General Dennis A. Crowell, the Joint Staff's Director of Command Control, Communications and Computers, commonly called the J6, and the Chief Information Officer for the Joint Staff, spoke at a Pentagon press briefing today about the JADC2 strategy. I'm not going to play the video, but I'm sure you guys can find this article. On May 13th, Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III signed a JADC2 strategy document that provides momentum to the continuation of the experimentation phase, Crowell said. Now, what's it talking about? The JADC2 strategy provides the governance and framework necessary to enable rapid integration of artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive analytics, and other emerging technologies, he said. So you hear it from the military. They're seeking to connect all the networks together and have AI, more or less, watch over it. Okay, how is this not Skynet? Okay, this is literally a demonic system, you know? Artificial intelligence is demonic, okay? But let's continue. I mean, Elon Musk even said that, you know, artificial intelligence is like summoning the demon. Okay, these are principalities and powers that are spoken of in Ephesians 6:12. It says each of the services is involved in JADC2 experimentation, he said, and the best solutions will be implemented as long as there is no vendor, lock, or proprietary limitation. Quote, we want this to be an open source. Kroll said the JADC2 is dependent on an enterprise cloud-based computing solution, software development that is shareable, network enhancements, a zero-trust environment, data sharing in nimble ways, and solutions that work on the tactical edge in a deployment environment. Okay, that all sounds really nice until you look at what's going on in China, and you see that they have artificial intelligence literally scanning everybody's face using, you know, facial recognition to identify everybody just walking on the street, and it, you know, if they cross the street in the wrong way,
yeah, and we'll get more into that when it comes to the social credit score in next week's episode. But let's jump to some more stuff. This is a pretty good video.
Also, the department should set AI readiness performance goals by the end of this fiscal year, 2021. With an eye towards 2025 when we need to be AI ready. So top-down leadership is the first big pillar. The second is to ensure that we have in place the resources, processes, and the organizations to enable AI integration into the force. The second broad thought is within this technological competition, the single most important technology that the United States must master is artificial intelligence and all of its associated technologies.
I'm standing next to two Amicas. They're our latest generation of humanoid robot designed for human-robot interaction. So the reason for making a robot that looks like a person is to interact with people. So human face is a very high bandwidth communication tool, and that's why we've built these expressive robots. A lot of people working on AI, interaction, all kinds of new apps that are using vision systems, segmentation, face recognition, speech recognition, voice synthesis, but what you don't see is the hardware to run all that software on. So what we're trying to provide is a platform for AI. It's really been sort of 15 years in gestation. It's got a very different look on the outside, so we've gone for something, we've tried to be gender neutral, race neutral. We're just trying to make something that has the basic human characteristics, expression, without putting anything else on top of that. So hence the grey faces. And a lot of communication is not verbal, so it's not all about speech, it's about expression, it's about gestures. A simple move like that can mean 1,000 words. The robot doesn't have to say anything. So the last thing we wanted to make was a robot that says, please repeat the question. So it's about trying to do natural human interaction. So imagine there's been a lot of talk about metaverses recently. Imagine taking your metaverse character out into the real world. You'll need some embodiment for that. So you wanted to take your virtual self to a meeting in New York, Hawaii, Hong Kong. Send a robot.
This is the place where robots meet. Look, you can see them here as slaves to logic.
Important spine. What's our goal? What's our goal? Our goal is to solve important spine and brain problems with a seamlessly implanted device. So you want to have a device that you can basically put in your head and feel and look totally normal, but it solves some important problem in your brain or spine. And the reality is that almost everyone over time will develop brain and spine problems. These range from minor to very severe, but if you live long enough, everyone's going to basically have some kind of neurological disorder, from memory loss to brain damage. But the thing that's important to appreciate is that an implantable device can actually solve these problems. I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. But all of your senses, your sight, hearing, feeling, pain, these are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain. And if you can correct these signals, you can solve everything from memory loss, blindness, paralysis, depression, insomnia, extreme pain, seizures, anxiety, addiction, strokes, brain damage. These can all be solved with an implantable neural link.
In the short term, Neuralink's BMI may be used to fix neurological problems and disorders. As Elon Musk has pointed out, over time, virtually everyone who gets old will suffer at least one, if not multiple, common neurological issues, such as memory loss, hearing loss, seizures, strokes, and brain damage, etc. With the development of
They're just so kind, thinking about the elderly, paying those pensions and those life insurance claims, for, another 60 years of them not producing anything. They're totally up for that.
Yep, absolutely. Just out there doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. How nice of them.
Would greatly outweigh the costs to both humans and AI systems. However, it is also very likely that AI systems and biological intelligences will at some point be in conflict.
I think the first bit of advice would be to really pay close attention to the development of artificial intelligence. We need to just be very careful in how we adopt artificial intelligence and to make sure that researchers...
We need to be careful, but also implant this chip into your brain. Like, what a freaking psycho.
Don't get carried away. Because sometimes what happens is a scientist can get so engrossed in their work, they don't necessarily realize the ramifications of what they're doing. So I think it's important for public safety that we, governments keep a close eye on artificial intelligence and make sure that it does not represent a danger to the public.
Elon Musk has commented on the dangers of AI, saying it is the greatest risk we face as a civilization. However, in order to prove that Neuralink can solve this problem, two things will need to become
greatest threat. Let me stick it in your head.
Yeah.
Clear. How does Neuralink achieve symbiosis with the human brain? And what are the side effects and potential drawbacks of this symbiosis? One possible downside would be that humans would lose their sense of individuality.
He said symbiosis. Like
there's another
entity
that is living
Yeah.
symbiotically with you, like fungus does with trees, you know, at the roots or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird language
creepy.
there.
It's creepy in alignment with the other language he speaks about AI being like a demon. You know, you got the holy water and the priest, and he's like, yeah, you could summon it, but it's really hard to put it back in the, you know, it's got
put it back.
You know, got the sigil and everything. It's really hard to put the demon back in. You know, but let me just stick that in your brain. No problem. It's okay.
Yeah. What a psycho.
If we all interconnect our thoughts and ideas into the cloud. However, if we can continue to retain our individuality and use Neuralink in a productive way, the benefits far outweigh the potential risks. Worth mentioning is Neuralink's recent development of a device which connects people's brainwaves to computers to allow them to control machinery with their thoughts alone. The device is able to...
Doesn't the reverse then be true? If you can control machines with your brains, can't a machine control your brain?
Like it's reverse engineering kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like if the
two-way port,
it would have to be a two-way street to communicate.
Exactly.
So, gosh, and like people are like, oh, it's going to be, you know, a goal, and so the reason why I wanted to talk about this is with Trump and the golden age of America coming and all that jazz, and we're going to have a quantum leap in technology and mobility, and you know. Wow.
Read from and write to neural synapses in a person's brain using very fine needle-like electrodes that penetrate a person's cranium. This technology, already in use on animals, requires no invasive surgery. Advanced versions of such devices inserted into the brains of quadriplegics and those suffering from brain trauma and other ailments that prevent them from moving their physical body could allow them to restore, if not enhance, the physical capabilities of the human body.
Oh, so you mean men can make man's body better than the creator? Oh, I forgot. The creator is just nothingness exploding into everything. So that's where I messed up. Yeah. Exactly. I'm so dumb. Sorry.
We've simplified this to simply something that is about the size of a large coin, and it goes in your skull, replaces a piece of skull, and the wires then connect within a few centimeters or about an inch away from the device. And this is sort of what it looks like. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. Current prototype version 0.9 has about 1,000 channels, and it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. In terms of getting a link, you need to have the device, you need to have a great robot that puts in the electrodes and does the surgery. So you want the surgery to be as automated as possible, and the only way you can achieve the level of precision that's needed is with an advanced robot.
The human race is advancing towards a great merging with the technology it has created. And as our technology grows, we will have to confront the questions that arise from our merging with it, not just of how to create it, but of how to control it, and what heights we might achieve through this process.
Like if you got a demon, how powerful you would be if you learned to control it. You know what I mean? Like that's literally what they're saying. They're like, well, we're learning how to summon demons. We haven't fully been able to do it quite yet, but soon we'll be able to, and then we'll have to figure out how to control those demons to gain the power. It's like,
but where do they even, you know, it's like the concept of artificial intelligence is like, well, aren't we supposed to be the progenitors of these things? Like we created them and are therefore like, you know, like on a higher hierarchy there, but when we speak about them, it's like
they're God.
They're God, exactly. Yeah. Like they're so much further advanced. It's more
well, and I think that's what AI is, right? And what they want is they literally want to create their own God, right, with their own set of morals that would, you know, and if they had a God, right, that wasn't just one robot, one body, but it was a network of millions
It'd
of
be
robots.
the closest thing to God that they could even conceptualize.
Yeah,
you know, to
right?
them, to that mind. Yeah, absolutely.
It's bananas.
Their whole agenda is to manipulate God's creation.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It just everything with pharmakia, with all this Neuralink, with everything that's coming out, it's the vaccines, everything is just to manipulate God's creation. We have everything we need given on the inside of us, created in Him. And they just don't want us to rely on the creative power that God has put in us. You know what I mean?
No, totally. And Risky Couple said, I think they are saying like a hive mind, which is scary as heck to think about. And no, they totally want that. Like that would be their God, right? Like as you were saying, like that's as close as God because they would literally have it attached to their brain. So as like we said, they could output the information from your brain out. That means they could input information in, and if that's coming from this God source, right, the source, they would in sense view that as God, right? And just like their science is always changing, their God could change, right? And depending on the culture and what's what people are doing, it could change.
And it's interesting what even the scientists say about this AI God, where they're like, AI is not like inherently bad or evil. They're like the Huxley and Great Old Ones, you know, where they're like not one or the other. They're just so far above us that we're like ants to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't really make us feel too good about it either.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. Oops.
Droid DNA augmentation initiated. Vision expanding to a 5-inch 1080p HD display and camera. Touch acquiring NFC. Hearing evolving with Beats audio. Wireless charging activated.
Introducing Droid DNA by HTC. It's not an upgrade to your phone, it's an upgrade to yourself.
To your soul? So weird and creepy looking.
Zero could no longer believe in something so uncertain as life.
I'm not even gonna lie. I was gonna think it's Metal Gear Solid 5. I was thinking about sharing a clip from that. I'll just talk about it real quick. They have these AIs. They have like the founder Thomas Jefferson, the founder George Washington. Like they have all these AI robots that are running in conjunction to be balances and checks, and they name them after the founding fathers. In Metal Gear Solid 5. So it's interesting that it's playing this clip.
He lost his belief in everything. Nations, organizations, individuals. Zero was no longer willing to place his organization in the hands of the next generation. Instead, he set up a network of AIs, a decision-making system formed from all the information he had accumulated. He built 4 AIs, GW, TJ, AL, and TR, as sort of a digital Mount Rushmore, and 1 core artificial intelligence to unite them, John Doe.
GW. The same GW we destroyed 5 years ago.
The same. Ever since GW was cut off, JD and the other 3 AIs have controlled all information on every aspect of global society. Economics, politics, law, morals, and culture. The war economy is no exception. In the shadow of the system and its complete control over the world, Big Boss isn't allowed to live or die. He's trapped for eternity in a brain-dead prison. To bind himself to his friend, to ensure his rule over the world, Zero transformed Big Boss into an icon, neither living nor dead.
Sounds almost like a religion.
Naturally. Ocelot and I plan to free him from Zero's prison. We enlisted Naomi Hunter, an authority in the field of nanomachine research, into our organization.
Here, stick yourself with this. It's full of suppressor nanomachines. Relax, it won't hurt. You're scared of needles or something?
Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you on your self-control. Don't sell your soul. Men's thoughts will be programmed by this new technology. Those who take the number, their slaves will always be. So hop into this morning, if it's life and love you choose, then you'll follow the truth, and that mark you will refuse. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip.
It's on point. Yeah, it's on point, but it is pretty like 70s, 80s, like.
Which is awesome because even back then, similar graphics.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's press conference on DoD artificial intelligence. I'm Lieutenant Commander Arlo Abramson, and I'll be moderating today's briefing. With us today is the Honorable Robert O. Work, Vice Chair of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence, and Lieutenant General Michael Groen, the Director of the DoD Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. We'll begin this morning's briefing with an opening statement from both principals, then we'll go to questions. I'll plan to go out to people out in the phones. We have a few people in the room. Please just identify your name and outlet to the principals before you ask your question. And with that, I'll now turn it over to Mr. Work and General Groen to deliver their opening statements.
Well, thank you, and good morning, everybody. Those here and also who are following online. I'd like to start by just two overarching comments. First, for the first time since World War II, the United States' technical predominance, which undergirds both our economic and our military competitiveness, is under severe threat by the People's Republic of China. Nick Burns, who is in his confirmation hearing, or Bill Burns, I'm sorry. Bill Burns, in his confirmation hearing as the director of CIA, said that in the strategic competition with China, technology competition is the central pillar. And the AI Commission agrees.
That's why we make all our phones in high electronics in China? It seemed like that might be a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't really add up.
Yeah, I'm done with their monotone voices, but yeah, it's like in the military, it's everywhere. This is a long video. We're obviously not going to watch it.
It seemed to me that a huge revolution was going on. Now it's changed. I am optimistic, but I'm also worried about it. I've been in the field of AI for 60 years. I was 14. I met Marvin Minsky, who was in his 30s. Frank Rosenblatt, who created the perceptron, the first popular neural net. But in the early years, it was really not clear that neural nets could do anything successful. And they're showing now that this is really the path to artificial general intelligence. It's not just us versus AI. The intelligence that we're creating is adding AI to our own brains. 2045 is when I said we will actually multiply our intelligence millions-fold. And that's going to be true of everybody, and we'll be able to get rid of, terrible life.
That's his guess for that is 10 years.
Mm-hmm. No, 2045.
Oh, I thought he said 2035. So 20 years, but still, that's insane.
As we see through poverty and lack of access to information.
Ray, good morning. Good morning to you.
It's great to be with you, Peter, and also Salim. I've done 5,000 years ago. You remember using cuneiform 5,000 years ago. That may happen from time to time, but I've actually used LLMs So here's a chart. I actually came out with this chart 40 years ago. It shows for each year the best computer that provided the amount of computations per second. And it's pretty much a very straight line on an exponential growth. And people were not even aware of this. I mean, I came out with this graph 40 years ago. It's 40 years after the progression started, and I've been updating it ever since. Now, people very often call this Moore's Law. I really believe we shouldn't do that anymore because it has nothing to do with Moore's. I mean, this started decades before Intel was even created. It's been going on for 40 years before anyone even knew it was happening. If you go to the bottom left, the first program.
For 40 years before anyone knew that it was happening. Think about that. For 40 years. No, not even. Like, he started in 1939, right? So, for 40 years, no one even knew they were really working on computers. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that long ago where a personal computer was even a thing, let alone an affordable thing.
Yeah.
Right? Now we have more powerful, smartphones than go back 10 years.
It was like no time that happened.
Yeah, boom.
As we were kids, and you'd Dell computers, or even back when they
Gateway,
they used to
HP,
be
whole
those
warehouses.
Exactly, like fill an entire room with just the computer itself, and it would just to do a few punch-ins. You could just change a few characters, and now it's an entire, I mean, the systems are totally different nowadays, and they're saying, that this whole revolution is going to be like what we saw happen as children. That's up to now is going to be like even
double or triple
that.
or more. Yeah,
out of nowhere, it's just gonna.
Yeah. So this guy, is I would if you're interested, watch this video. But he basically goes on to talk about like the history of AI and like where it came from and how they started dabbling in it and the benefits of it. Like he was saying, by 2045, we're going to be fully integrated into it.
Immortal,
yeah,
like they claim.
Yeah,
he's a transhumanist who also claims that, that they have a plan to reach immortality by some means, technologically or medically, somehow by 2045.
Yeah, well, and of course, they do push those numbers and they push those things back and back and back, but it's like you see their desire for such an evil thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They want to fully separate themselves, body, mind, spirit, everything from the creator, in my opinion.
Yep.
Scott, that's JWellfire.com. Final Days Report, episode 293. Today's VCast, we cover the new launch of Humane AI Pin, linked to Bill Gates. We'll dive deep into the occult meaning of this brand and how it is used to pre-program you to accept this biohack transhumanism agenda, where you're the cell phone, you're the antenna, you're the crypto harvester. It's Mark of the Beast system, my friends. Remember, this is a seed war. Iron mixed with clay, but the seeds of men will not cleave. You follow our ministry, probably 30 to 40% of our podcasts are in regards to defiling the temple of God. That is you. So let's get into it, my friends. All right, we're going to show a video at the end of Humane. I think it's demonic as all got out. It is really trying to prime you to biohack you, ultimately to hook you up into this quantum computer artificial intelligence, to download skills, live forever, everything we've talked about within this news ministry. So they need to slow roll you to actually have you put this technology on you, because eventually it'll be in you. It's this Mark of the Beast technology. But let's read from Forbes magazine. Bill Gates and Humane's AI Pin. AI is the interface. So there are no apps. It's an AI interface. Let's read from Forbes. Last week, Humane, it's inhumane, in my personal opinion, unveiled an AI pin you wear on your chest. Again, you wear it on your chest. Eventually, they want to hijack you. but a monthly mobile subscription for and summon when needed, right? Summoning this demon. Remember, quantum computers that artificial intelligence is run by speaks to other dimensions according to the inventor of quantum computers.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up, my friends. Let's continue reading. At $700, the reaction to the screenless device with no apps and a $24 a month additional cost has not been pleasant. So it's basically being rejected. Much of the reporting and commentary since has been negative, even derogatory, and many pundits have predicted its failure. Yes, it will almost certainly flop, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from it, especially in the context of some insightful words Microsoft founder Bill Gates recently shared on Reddit. So they know it's going to flop, but this is about pre-programming you, preconditioning you to be dependent upon artificial intelligence. Right? They have to slow boil you.
And they own all the money anyways, right? So what is money for them spending millions and trillions on research and development of the beast system when it's part of the system anyways?
Right. It's almost kind of like with the whole Trump and Elon going to the Fort Knox and making sure all the gold's there. It's like, whether it is or isn't doesn't matter to you or me, because it's not ours for the taking. It's literally Caesar's in his possession to do what he wills with, and whether it's in Fort Knox or the Vatican or Israel
or in a computer digitally,
it literally and that is the thing, is that perhaps that is the reason for the storehouse of certain metals, is that they are used in technology. And that
they need a storehouse for when we get AI up and running, we're going to need a lot of gold.
Exactly. We're going to need quartz, crystals, gold,
silver, copper,
magnets, everything to make it work. And maybe they've just, it's almost like someone's existed for thousands of years
that have been prepping
this whole thing.
Oh, stop being such a conspiracy theorist. There's no grand conspiracy of some evil one that wants to bring us all to destruction.
Of course not. The Bible's just a fairy tale.
Yeah, how dare you.
To hijack you, everything we've covered, right? You're going to be the antenna. DNA is a great storage unit. All the information on the net can be stored in a shoebox with DNA. This is the seeds of men will not cleave, iron mixed with clay. So again, no apps. There's this light interface hologram infrastructure when I show the video. And again, it's the slow step of hijacking you. Never ask it. Slide, I put this in my book. Seal when is open, that primes the fourth beast system that is iron, graphene oxide, mixed in clay. They put nanotech in us. And this is in our food as well. They're probably dumping this smart tech on us. I mean, it's over the top. They're hijacking us. And so you need to think about defiling the temple of God with this optogenetics, which is mind controlism, to hook you up to the hive mind, where ultimately you will worship this image, this beast.
Now, so what I will say about that is I don't think they can do it without your consent. I think just like with like a demon as an example, you got to write or have a contract, right, with that demon, right? So in the same way, this is going to have to be something that you accept. I don't think, like he's kind of indicating there, that they can fly a plane over with this, nanotechnology that it put it in your food, that it then now gets in your body. And like, to me, I think it has to be, there has to be a level of acceptance, like with hypnotism, right? Like if someone's adamant that they're not going to be hypnotized and that they can't be hypnotized, they're not going to be hypnotized, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to subject someone to what they already are willing to believe.
Right? And so in the same way, it's like this type of whole fear mongering of like, oh, they're going to spray it over us and we're all going to
like
be a part of the Borg, right? Like it's like, no, we do have free will. There are moral thresholds that they can't pass, that they can't
And
just do.
Even if it were technologically possible, I personally believe that there's a set in like spiritual like barrier, a safety barrier, where even if that existed, it would just, from those who are his children, essentially it's like those verses talk about how it's not what goes into your body that defiles you, because it's it'll shed that from your body like poisons,
Yeah, no, totally. And like no weapon that they form against us shall prosper. Like, so I do believe that, but I just think even if it was technologically possible, like there would be a barrier. Like let's say they tried to release it, it wouldn't work. Like there's moral thresholds that they can't pass, even if they want to do it. And so it definitely has to be a choice. And people, Christians, and I can kind of say, like it will cause all those free and slave, right, to get this mark. Absolutely. Well, you don't have to choose it. If you say, no, I'm not getting the mark, they're just going to kill you, right?
It causes them to choose it. It's not forces them to get it.
Like lays them down and
and therefore, because that defeats the whole point of like, essentially you don't, because once you get the mark, that's it.
That's it. You're going to the lake of fire.
So if they could force something on you without you being fully willing to accept it, it's not scriptural. It wouldn't hold up.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that you
choose,
agree to, and you choose.
Yeah. Like kind of like how Peter denied Christ, right? Like if the crow just if the rooster just crowed 3 times, but Peter was in the middle of the desert and there was no one to deny it to, right? Then it's like he didn't deny it, right? But he had to had those chances to deny for that prophecy of Yeshua's to come true. So they want to put this technology in us. They would love to do it. Of course, it has everything to do with with the Antichrist and his coming and them setting up the beast system. I apologize. Like here's a good little, the beast system, 6G, fake Holy Ghost, track at the cellular level, carry hologram, Christ image, quantum computers, run AI, talk to other dimensions, be omnipresent. This whole other dimensions, it's assuming that there's other dimensions. Exactly. Load Antichrist consciousness to QC, appears as a hologram, lead people with AI scientism. So this is one thing I'll say that I personally don't subscribe to. I think that for it to get to that level, the evil one is already here, right? Like, I think, and that's what my kind of thing is. I think we can have some leaps, but I think the real leap in like the real peace and the real utopia type of golden age is going to happen directly after Revelation 9. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen within a short window, right? Because he only has a short window. Months, he only has 42 months, right? So he has to lead the whole world astray within those 42 months, or as many as he can. Mm-hmm. And so that, I think that's when the quantum leap, that's when it's going to be like, oh, you can live for, forever now. You know what I mean? And it's like,
that has to be what it is and what they offer with the mark. Like for you to give up your soul, it's not just buying or selling, but it's everything that they tell us in this is always a transhumanist sort of philosophy of
you'll see better, hear better.
Exactly. Like it'll better your life now, but also like this technology can be used to preserve your life,
to extend your life,
it to save it onto a hard drive,
to
do
your consciousness, take an imprint with the AI's connection, and be able to put it all back in the same place, right?
Rather than putting your faith in Yeshua, which would raise you shortly after that period of time where you chose to get that mark. Like if you just put your faith in Yeshua, it'd be a totally different outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep checking. We got a few more to watch.
Welcome to the Supply Chain Report. Today we're diving into the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on supply chain management and the rise of purple people in the workforce. As AI and other advanced technologies evolve, they're reshaping how companies manage their supply chains. Traditionally, supply chain roles were specialized, focusing on specific tasks like transportation or scheduling. But with AI, we're seeing a shift towards roles that require a broader understanding of the entire supply chain ecosystem. This is where Purple People come in. These professionals have a unique blend of expertise across multiple disciplines. They can analyze complex problems and leverage technology to streamline processes. Companies are moving away from siloed, task-specific roles towards a more integrated approach to decision-making. To succeed in this new landscape, organizations need to upskill their workforce. Supply chain leaders must anticipate the skills required to effectively use.
See, we don't need too many robot polishers. Look how many dudes there are, 2 per machine.
Emerging technologies. Encouraging cross-disciplinary learning and collaboration can drive innovation and creativity. Leaders must also remain adaptable, learning from both successes and failures as they navigate uncharted territory. It's important to avoid solution fatigue, where the focus shifts too much to the problem rather than finding effective solutions. The goal is to enhance efficiency while also improving the employee experience. Just as companies prioritize customer experience, they must also prioritize the well-being and satisfaction of their employees. Thoughtful implementation of new technologies is key to ensuring a positive organizational impact. In conclusion, AI is revolutionizing supply chain management. By embracing interdisciplinary approaches and aligning talent with technology, companies can unlock new levels of efficiency and innovation. Stay ahead of the curve by focusing on continuous learning and fostering a people-centric approach. For more insights, visit us
How
at
is
Supply Chain
people-centric approach getting people to basically use AI to do other people's jobs? You know what I mean?
It's not people-centric.
Yeah, they're like, we're trying to make it more streamlined. What you mean is less people, more computer technology.
They're like, yeah, but we want less people, don't we?
Yeah, we need it for global warming.
Exactly.
And you know, I talk about this, but you know, I don't think, you know, this fullness maybe is what we're going to experience. That's why but I think Terminator's a good example, because most of them are at least like the T1 or T whatever, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
T30,
whatever he is, how it mixes biological and mechanical. So like a biomechanical creation, right? Which are kind of what these are. And how, like, we were seeing the gray-faced robots, right? And how they're like, oh, this could be like your robot that you experience, your avatar experiences the real life, right? And it's like, if they can get the technology down to make you be able to communicate with a avatar, a robot that's thousands of miles away, like the reverse of that is true, right? And it's like, of course, if they could do that with like that, then they could put it with AI, right? Where it's not even a person controlling it, it's an AI controlling it. BAE, by the way, is also who took over the technologies for the HAARP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Okay.
A transition to the demonstrate.
Sorry, everyone.
AI-enabled ground combat vehicles demonstrate agility and synergy at PC-21 by Maureen Thompson, Army Futures Command, November 1, 2021, U.S. Army PFC. Daniel Candales, assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, uses the tactical robotic controller to control the expeditionary modular autonomous vehicle as a practice exercise in preparation for Project Convergence at Yuma Proving. Jake Obradovich understands the importance and the urgency of modernizing the Army's go-to combat vehicles. A mechanical engineer and test officer with U.S. Army Test and Evaluation Command, who has worked with the U.S. military for more than 12 years. Obradovich's experience includes working on the Bradley fighting vehicle, a workhorse of a machine that has served the Army well, but will one day transition to the role of predecessor. The Bradley was designed 40-plus years ago, Obradovich said. The battlefield of then versus the battlefield of now. It's completely changed. Thanks to years of concerted U.S. military research and investment, however, the path forward is a promising one. The Army is currently testing a fleet of next-generation combat vehicles, NGCVs, at Project Convergence 2021, PC-21, a large-scale modernization experiment and cornerstone effort of U.S. Army Futures Command. As part of the experiment, which is taking place at Army installations in Arizona and New Mexico, teams of soldiers, civilians, contractors, and industry experts are testing the newest advances in modern warfare, including in the realm of artificial intelligence, AI-enabled ground combat vehicles. The new vehicles undergoing testing include the Army's robotic combat vehicle, optionally manned fighting vehicle, and next-generation tank. Obradovich, who is serving as an NGCV cross-functional team CFT integrator at PC-21, emphasized the importance of rolling out new ground.
And what is it always when it comes to the military? How do they sell it to us?
To protect us.
Well, not just to protect us, but it's always like, if we save one troop, if that's one more troop, one person that we don't have to send there, we can just send this AI,
or
drone that can do the targeting instead of sending in a squad of guys, right? Like, I'm not pro-war, but like at the same time, it's like I would rather robots get destroyed than humans died, right?
But that doesn't change the fact that that same amount of enemy soldiers, from either perspective still exists. It just creates more chaos before, the people
come together
with each other and, kill each other off.
It's like they're all sitting in lines and with their muskets, but they're like using RC cars to go, and then the RC cars like battle each other first,
right?
And then they like rush each other. Then they shoot. Then they rush each other.
That is exactly what
that was the big thing with Bush when he went over to I think it was Iraq. Most of the airstrikes were all drones.
Yeah.
So there was no casualties on our end because everything was AI driven. And that was back in the early 90s or early 2000s when Bush was in office.
Yeah, early 2000s.
When 9/11 happened. They bombed Baghdad several times and it was all drone airstrikes.
Yeah, and I very much believe that the reason why him and Obama did so many airstrikes was literally in the testing to develop the AI targeting systems, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
Now they use them on their own citizens, probably.
Yeah, eventually, right? Like a man flying a jet, like, isn't going to target a system where he may have friends living, like a city that he may have friends or family living, right? But a robot, they don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, demon running it. Even more so reason to kill and hurt people.
Exactly.
Combat options ahead of future land warfare scenarios. The past 15-20 years, we've been fighting a very irregular war, and so we've been focused on kind of a different type of adversary, Obradovich said. While we've done that, our adversaries have continued to develop their core capabilities, and one of the most basic elements of the battle is having that ground, direct combat. The vehicles, which can function with or without a physical driver, offer greater adaptability on the battlefield. Adaptability that the Army is demonstrating through a synchronized, live-fire reconnaissance and attack experiment at PC-21. Enabling the interconnectedness of the NGCV experiment is an aided threat recognition system, supported by third-generation forward-looking infrared, which can scan for and identify enemy targets. The system is able to rapidly relay images of detected targets to a human-led command center, which can then decide on an appropriate course of action.
How long do they send it back to a human before they've done so many of these decision makings that then they take that data, they feed it to the AI, and they go, see, when we say you can shoot, that you can always shoot now. When you see we don't shoot, you can't shoot, right? And they're going to set the laws of these AIs based upon the human-led command. And eventually, after that data is gained, why would they need another person to keep saying it?
And they always say, they're like, with the humans, they say, oh, we have to give it back control to the people so that we can make a morally upheld decision. But then in the other regard, in the same breath, they'll say, we need to take the decision making out of mankind because we're flawed and we're folly, and we need to put it in AI because it doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well,
an AI won't be racist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, an AI isn't a psycho, right? It's not going to kill and plunder and grape people.
Yeah, like people are, because people are so flawed.
Yeah.
But AI is like.
But we need to make sure that the human is deciding it when that drone is strike.
Right.
It's so backward.
The AI advances also assist with informing engagement of targets, including by utilizing unmanned aerial systems to send information to shooters. Applying such advances to future warfighting operations could enhance the speed and accuracy of tactical movements, while minimizing
you could have a better blitzkrieg? Is that what you're saying?
the need to mobilize scout troops. Part of the uniqueness of the NGCV experiment is how advanced the prototypes for the new combat vehicle systems are, meaning that when one is observing operational scenarios, it's not a huge mental leap to see the technologies of the future battlefield and how they'll be employed, said Ben Rosen, Command, Control, Computers, Communications, Cyber Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance, C5ISR, Integration Lead for the NGCV team, and a Site Lead at PC-21. Rosen added that at PC-21...
What a title.
Yeah,
the Army is able to replicate a holistic operating environment to assess how updated vehicles and cutting-edge communication networks interact and play and feed off of each other, and how we can use these technologies to create that overmatch that we're looking for. Multiple Army research and development labs, including the Army Artificial Intelligence Integration Center and the Combat Capabilities and Development Command's armaments, C5ISR and Ground Vehicle Systems Centers, are involved in the experiment, illustrating the dynamism, as well as adept coordination, of the exercise. Not often do you see all of the centers within the Army science and technology community get together to develop systems in the dirt, said Jeremiah Bryant, an NGCV project manager with the Ground Vehicle Systems Center and an operations lead for PC-21 NGCV testing. The gathering presents a valuable opportunity for collaborative learning and ongoing systems development.
That's what system development is when you get the data to then develop the system. So it's like they just say it right out in there, and just like most people aren't really paying attention that close. Maybe they just read the title of the article and then they're good with that. They just go with that. Here's another one. It's only 4 minutes.
If you really want to understand where our world's going, there's 3 terms you want to add to your cocktail vocabulary, and basically that is to no longer just say AI, but to think of ANI, AGI, and ASI. So first of all, we see AI already in a lot of different ways that you heard mentioned today in different keynotes. There's personal assistants, there's lawyers, doctors, autonomous drivers, investors, facial recognition, all that wonderful stuff. But it's already been around for some amount of time already. So we're not going to get too deep in it, because where I'm going to really be pushing in the super future is what happens in 7 to 15 years from now when we reach artificial general intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is the idea that one system could actually do pretty much anything that a human could. So it's not having a specialist AI doctor over here or an AI lawyer over here that's all a different robot. It's one system that you could almost interact with like a human that could help you in any potential way. As we start to get smarter and try to think about how our systems are developed, there's one cartoon I saw that really helps articulate it the best. And it's that right now we see AI happening and we're like looking at it thinking, wow, that funny robot can do, monkey tricks. And we think about AI kind of in that world. What we're not really prepared for is to understand that 7 to 15 years from now, we will reach a day where AI reaches the level of what you might consider a dumb human. And you'll still be like, oh, it's not bad, but it still makes mistakes. The weird part is when it reaches that particular day, the next day it reaches the level of Einstein, and the day after that is a little bit different. And this is particularly why AI is the most important thing for each of you to study, even if you might not consider yourself a technologist, because this sort of warps every aspect of human life. The factors that limit or accelerate us getting to AGI would be power, data, and intelligence. The first two are really simple. The third one is more complex. Just to put it in perspective, the IBM Summit is already much, much faster and more complex than what a human brain could do in possibly every single way. So this idea of power and performance has already been solved. To put it this way, if every person on the Earth completed one calculation per second, everyone on Earth, all 7 billion of us, one calculation per second, it would take us 305 days to catch up to what the Summit could do in a single second. So the best way to kind of internalize that this is not what is impeding us from getting to AI. That's kind of why I put that there. When it comes to data, imagine that more data was created in this year than in the last 5,000 years, but humans have only been able to analyze 0.5% of it. So data is also not the limiter to AI reaching artificial general intelligence. In fact, if you were a computer with AI capabilities plugged into the internet today, you would have every language, fact, Wikipedia page, math, formula, physics, equation, bioengineering feed, piece of news, trending data, market best practice, neuropsychological insight on how to manipulate and persuade people, and every hacked email and about 7 billion emails so far, every stock market technical and info on every person in this room, if not the entire planet. That's a lot of data, so AI is not limited by that. So really, the only mystery that's trying to be solved is how to make a system that could teach itself more intelligently. And effectively, there are people trying in every possible category. Some are trying to recreate what a human brain's exact structure might look like. Some are hoping that training a computer to train a computer to train a computer gets us to a further spot. And in short, billions and billions of dollars this year is being poured into the attempts to get to this feat alone.
Money is not an issue.
With that said then, let's just note that artificial superintelligence is, if you fast forward a little bit more, it's very difficult to imagine that 10 or 15 years from now you have a human-like computer that can do everything we can do at paces that are millions of times faster with access to every piece of information instantly. That's a very difficult thing to comprehend. But once a system's at that level and it's training itself and you advance another 10 or 20 years, it gets to a part that humans actually can't understand. We can't even get there and it's uncomfortable, but effectively an ASI one system will reign supreme. At that level, pretty much all AI scientists agree there is only one system in the world.
Oh, there can only be one, right? Sounds like someone is using a whole bunch of platforms, a whole bunch of avenues of mediums to create a system that could rule the whole world. Right. And eventually that will be consolidated into one system. Mm-hmm. Weird. It sounds like we've heard about that somewhere before.
Weird.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get into, we got a couple short videos. We don't got much time left. Sorry I played all the other ones, but let's check a couple of these out.
The algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. Now imagine the situation in 10 or 20 years when an algorithm can tell any teenager exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum.
What did he just say?
Can tell any teenager exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum.
What the fuck just happened?
Oh my god.
As you surf.
God, those were weak words, but that was super funny. Alright, let's check this out real quick.
To rules and expectations that were largely developed in a pre-digital world. Network platforms and their AI have rapidly non-human. We are integrating non-human intelligence into the basic fabric of human activity. This is unfolding rapidly and in connection with a new type of entity we call network platforms. Digital services that provide value to their users by aggregating those users in large numbers, often at a transnational and global scale. This is essentially described by activities and communities on social media applications. These network platforms increasingly rely on AI, producing an intersection between humans and AI on a scale that suggests an event of civilizational significance or existential change. As AI assumes greater roles on more varied network platforms, these platforms' basic manifestations are becoming material for headlines and geopolitical maneuvers, shaping aspects of individuals' daily reality. In less than a generation, the most successful network platforms have brought together user bases larger than populations of most nations and even some continents.
Did you want to say something, Frankie?
Nah, I was talking to my dogs.
Oh, okay.
However, large user populations gathered on popular network platforms have more diffuse borders than those of political geography. And network platforms are operated by parties with interests that may differ from those of a nation. Operators of network platforms do not necessarily think in terms of government, priorities, or national strategy, particularly if those priorities and strategies might conflict with serving their customers. Such network platforms may host or facilitate economic and social interactions that surpass, in number and scale, those of most countries, despite the platforms having formed no economic or social policy as a government would have. Thus, although they are operated as commercial entities, some network platforms are becoming geopolitically significant actors by virtue of their scale, function, and influence. Many of the most significant network platforms.
Real quickly, do you see how Mark Zuckerberg said that he thinks that phones are going to go the way of the past and that we're gonna have glasses?
It's like every show we've ever seen.
Yeah, right. And then you have it digitally, everything recorded, right? It's not in your pocket when you're talking to someone.
It's constantly overlaid on your eyes.
Everywhere, right? Like the
there won't
volume,
be an excuse for when your boss calls or texts or anything. It should just pop up in front of your face, and eventually they'll have contacts or we already have
eye implants.
Or a chip in your brain that just
puts the image in your
in your cerebral cortex.
Yeah, it's literally insane.
Platforms originated in the United States, like Google, Facebook, Uber, or China, like WeChat for an example, and now TikTok. As a result, these network platforms seek to build their user bases and commercial partnerships in regions containing markets that are commercially and strategically significant to Washington and Beijing. Such dynamics introduce novel factors into foreign policy calculations. Commercial competition between network platforms can affect geopolitical competition between governments, sometimes even topping the agenda in diplomacy. This is further complicated by the fact that network platform operators' corporate cultures and strategies are often developed to reflect the priorities of customers and of research and technology hubs, both of which may be far from national capitals. In countries where they operate, certain network platforms have become integral to individual life, national political discourse, commerce, corporate organizations, and even government functions. Their services, even ones that did not exist in any form until recently, now appear indispensable. As an entity without a single direct precedent from prior eras, network platforms sometimes sit in ambiguous relation to rules and expectations that were largely developed in a pre-digital world.
Okay, so that's why I think that like the digital currency, like how Bitcoin and Ethereum, like they may be usurped into the system, meaning like if you had Bitcoin, you know, the United States digital currency bought all that out. It's
Right.
now valued in, you know, in this way. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's like they have to integrate it all in one system in order for them to be able to do that.
Exactly.
And then like if you think about it, just like well, think about the movie Aliens, like that whole series. They have like the Wayne Corporation or whatever, which basically owns planets, right? It owns the entire like America. I mean, sorry, the entire planet Earth, right? It like everyone who lives on planet Earth works for the Wayland, the Wayland Corporation, right? And so it's like that's what they ultimately want, is they want one corporation, one AI, one, you know, like one system.
It's what they say they are going to establish, a new world order where everything is controlled under that one banner and power, and it's not going to be a bunch of divided nations or thought. It's just going to be one hive mind.
Yep, absolutely. Alrighty, let's move on to another. Days of Note is always great. Check it out. We kind of already looked at this. Sorry I'm skipping some of y'all's stuff, but
proceed with the lesson. AI's core benefits include enhanced
yeah, this is like explaining the benefits of it. AI agents, them like creating, you know, like an AI doctor, an AI nurse, you know, things that you can interact with that gives you specific information, like on one job. Yeah, and like all of these guys, NVIDIA, Google, Facebook, and I'm not sure those two guys, but like they're all in competition, but also all in coots, right? Like they share information to a degree, but they all want to be the one. They all like they want Google to be the Wayland Corporation. They want Facebook, Meta to be the Wayland Corporation, where it's everywhere. It owns everything. Every job is through them. You know what I mean?
A technocracy.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
Oh, absolutely.
Digital technocracy.
Yep. Absolutely. Sweet. All right. Well, let's stop sharing that and let's go ahead and wrap up the episode. It's been super fun. It was great to have Carlos on, chipping in. And what did I say, Carlos? Dude, I have said that. That's the second time I have said that. His wife's name is Carla, and for whatever reason, and he said people have called him that too before. But, anyways, Francisco, so glad to have him here, and I hope he will join us again. And now that he kind of dipped his toes in it, hopefully he's not so nervous routing, because it can be the first time, but you realize you're just talking to the peeps. So, sweet. Let's go ahead and say our goodbyes, our final thoughts on AI, and we'll go from there. Robert?
Carlos Francisco.
Francisco.
Well, yeah. Francesca. Oh. No, anyhow. Yeah, it's very interesting. All the information is like really cool, interesting, fun, but then you start thinking about the dark side of it. That just gonna happen. You know, it always happens. You create a tool, whether or not you meant it for good, it's gonna be used for bad. And this thing here, you know, once it's loose, it's gonna be like the movies, man. It is.
Well, and think about how much programming in the movies we've seen, right? Like there's Eagle Eye, there's I can't think of other ones on top of my head. HAL 2000, is that 2001: A Space Odyssey? Like, yeah, we have all these examples of these AIs renegating to Terminator, right? Skynet, iRobot. Yeah, there's so many examples of these AIs, you know, coming to control the world, and us trying to like eventually realizing it's a bad idea and that we shouldn't do it, but yet it always happens. You know, like, yeah, I get what you're saying though. Like once it hits that level, and I kind of think that is like after Revelation 9. Personally, I think like he said, like right, we have the power, we have the computing power. We have the data. We have everyone's data. We have every book. We have every right. So it's like what our limit is an intelligence, right? They need an outside intelligence, outside of human, outside of machine learning that can take this to the next level. Right. And I very much think that that's going to be evil spirits or one evil spirit or, a conjunction of more. So, yeah, you're totally right there, Robert. Sweet. Well, it was good to see you as always, brother. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And let's jump over to Frankie B. What are your final thoughts and your goodbyes, brother?
It's a strange new world. That's all I can say. It's a strange new world, and they're just trying to take away all of our creative powers, put us in a hive mind, having AI do everything for us so we don't ever have to think anymore. And it's sad. It's sad that people are actually buying into it. And corporations are pushing it. Corporations are investing in it. Most of the systems that we work on at my job are AI driven. All the calculations, all the numbers that they come up with are all AI driven. So if AI says it's going to work, it's going to work. No matter what we say, with having the experience of operating in a whatever facility Robert or I am or me or Kyle are working in, we have no say because AI dictates how it's going to happen. And AI said it's going to work, so it has to work because AI says it's true.
Yeah, dude. The plants need electrolytes.
I have 25 years experience. Robert has over 20 years experience. Kyle has 15, 20 years experience. You have 20 years experience in your field, and our say has no bearing on, anything anymore.
Oh yeah, and it pretty much eventually why even have humans vote, right? Let's put it in the AI system and do data analyze and make a predictive programming that's going to say who will be the most beneficial. And then we'll just have the computer elect because we'll get rid of all the corruption. We'll get rid of all of the, all of the name calling, the literally what Robert said, when it hits, it's going to hit hard and it's going to affect every facet of our lives. And I just it's not, this isn't something they can really slow boil. They kind of have been, right? But when he's saying when it hits that experience, whether that's possession by a demon or the evil one special boy finally makes himself known, it's going to be crazy for sure. Sweet. Well, thank you for being here as always, Frankie B. We love you as always, brother. I'm going to give Kyle here his chance to say goodbye, his final thoughts, and then I'll close this out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I definitely think that there's obviously a demonic undertone with AI and what their ultimate goal will be. I just think it's interesting that there's been automated things in history that you look back thousands of years, and the Greeks had automatons and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder if it's always been the same knowledge and technology
cycle,
and there's nothing new under the sun. It's just everything just lines up in such a way where Satan seems to have set up hundreds and thousands of years before, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and thousands, for those of you, set things up so that, when it came time that the beast would be revealed, mm-hmm. certain things were in place for him to
usurp it, to have that full domination.
Total effect that he desires. Yep.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it can look scary or whatever, but, I will always look at my stone, which is, the creator, our Heavenly Father, the Almighty God. and know that, you know, like, what's the worst they can do? Kill me?
you.
You know what I mean?
Do nothing to your soul.
Yeah, and I'm still
go to Sheol where everyone else goes.
Yep, go to the Abraham's bosom and see and be the halls of my father. So it's like, you know, strike me down and I shall become more powerful. You know,
possibly imagine.
Yeah, so I'm not really worried about that. So I don't think y'all should have fear either. You know, rely and lean in, and know that you're under the wing of the Most High, and you're loved and protected and watched over. And yeah, it's an awesome stream. I hope y'all enjoyed. Next week we are talking about social credit score, and obviously this coincides with the 4 topics that we've been talking about this kind of sesh. So hopefully y'all are looking forward to that. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. All of those things really do help us find more people. We did get a couple new subscribers, so thank you for the recent. We got Carl Roth, Katie, Matt Lack. Thank you so much for joining. We're up to 1256. So again, thank you, and not only to the people who watched live, but also to those that watched later. We love you, dear brothers and sisters. But until next time, remember that it was ABBA that loved you first. Have a good night, everybody.